Alrighty, so I suppose this is going to be the official start of the VOD as well. So thanks for tuning in. This is HeflaTV with the Join Dota League Season 4. It is going to be game number 2 of a best of 3 series. Yeah, I'm completely out of breath and completely lost for words. I'm trying to get everything all work together. I'm not sure what Zentastic wants me to look at Skype. I don't actually... No, let's see. Either way, we're going to start this game off with a Vengeful Spirit first pick by Leviathan. As far as the bans are concerned, it is almost exactly the same as what we saw in game number 1, with the exception being Tidehunter is banned out by Boreal. But outside of that, the Brewmaster as well as a Torward and Juggernaut look very at home inside those ban slots. For Boreal Esports, I'm not exactly sure how they want to go about picking things up for themselves. A Vengeful Spirit first pick is very par for the course. Even after the changes to Wave of Terror, increasing cooldown a little bit, still an all-around really solid hero. Swap is an amazing ability, aggressively and defensively, although more often than not it's going to cost your Vengeful Spirit's life. It still works wonders, and having that minus armor utility, extra bonus damage, a point-click stun, what more can you want out of one of your supports? Boreal Esports gonna go ahead and snag themselves up a Lion, a support that I'd like to see getting a little bit more love, although he offers some of the most lockdown you can see inside his support, and it's just a nice jack of all trades. Generally, he's outshined when it comes to the specialist supports, but as far as first picking him is concerned, I'm completely on board. I think this is a great way to start things off, and although I don't expect there to be a mid-lion rushing an Aghanim Scepter or what have you, rushing a Blink and getting really aggressive, I can't completely count it out, and it would be something awesome to see. Um, Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Apologies to Fantastic. I have no idea. Either way, if you want to get involved and co-cast with us on stream and what have you, you should get in touch with Heflamoke and add him on Skype and what have you. He should be involved there. My goodness. Slark going to be second picked up by Boreal. Going to be a pretty solid one for them. With a Vengeful Spirit on the enemy's side, disjointing that stun and purging it off is always very easy for a Slark, and there really isn't anything you have to worry about inside that Shadow Dance. And it's one of the carries that, after a long time of being an okay pick, has really come into vogue. Even after a couple of damage balances on his pounce and whatnot, he's still really solid. A pain in the butt to lock down the Scourge of Pubs, and maybe somebody on Boreal just has that fancy golden barb of Scotty that they want to show off. Either way, it's going to be really nice for them, and it's going to angle Leviathan and going for a little bit more burst damage. Phantom Assassin, not exactly the direction I was expecting him to go for, but is a pretty solid one at that, with the coup de grace crits. If you're able to get that chance to pop off on the Slark at a key moment, could be amazing and get you that extra bit of damage that you need to burst him down. But then again, it works the other way around. Phantom Assassin up against the Lion and the Slark, a lot of magical burst. Coming out between these two heroes can 100 to 0 Phantom Assassin, no problem. For the vast majority of the game, BKB is going to be entirely necessary for the PA. Very well. The reserve time is being eaten through a little bit by either team, but after a Pudge first pick game, I'm not sure we can really base all of our expectations for this game out of that first go around with the Jenkins first pick Pudge. Witch Doctor is going to be banned out by Leviathan. No big surprises there, just another one of those solid support heroes. The Omni Knight's a little bit different, but then again, it is something that Leviathan do like picking up for themselves, and would work nicely with what they already are bringing to the table. Guardian Angel, as well as having that built-in repel, would be wonderful for Phantom Assassin, although Slark might build a Diffusal Blade, it's not something he necessarily wants to go into. Elder Titan and Abaddon are going to be very quick next couple of bans, as Boreal just want to make sure that Leviathan don't have these super defensive supports. They're just going to make this Phantom Assassin unkillable, which is pretty decent that way around. On top of it all, they might be looking towards a Mirana in their next phase, or a Beastmaster, just something with a really long duration, single target stun, that they don't want to get purged off by that shield coming out from the Abaddon. Ooh, let's see.
Earthshaker.
Earthshaker going to be the choice up for Boreal Esports. hopefully we can get that all sorted out. Either way, Io going to be picked up by Leviathan, going to be boosting up the Phantom Assassin in even more ways. A lot of ways to boost up the damage coming out from this PA, and it looks like Leviathan are going to make that PA the jewel in the middle of their team and trying to bring out whatever they can out of that PA's damage. Between Vegisaur as well as the extra attack speed coming out from Io, Tether, Overcharge, there's going to be a lot of ways that they can make this PA hit really hard. Although the lower levels of Coup de Grace are a little bit lackluster when it comes to that raw damage, once you get to level 16 in particular, it becomes really dirty how fast you can bring down, especially a Lion or Earthshaker that aren't getting that much farm at all. Maybe just Blink Dagger Boots is all that they'll have at that point. Yeah, I really wish I had somebody else here, and it's mostly my fault that I don't, because I'm pretty sure that, unfortunately, I ignored Zentastics. Invite on Skype. Lena again for Boreal and Pudge, my goodness. I look away for a second and they go immediately back for the picks that they went for in game number 1. Hopefully we don't see any more Jenkins Pudge hooks. We saw that pretty much lost them the game, but at least they're confident with it, and I can definitely respect that. For Boreal, the burst damage combination between Lion and Lena is pretty darn dirty, and Phantom Assassin, if she doesn't have a BKB, is going to be just focused down by these ion cannons that are Lion and Lena. Between the Laguna Blade as well as the Finger of Death, Phantom Assassin is just going to have a terrible time with wherever they point their fingers. It's not something you get to see very much in pro games, but as far as pub burst combos are concerned, can be pretty darn ridiculous. And I'm glad we get to see it today. Leviathan are going to get the Night Stalker ban out against them. Would have worked decently well with what they have, just setting up for those ganks with the IO and what have you, and all around just a really scary hero to go up against that Leviathan like running. Not sure if that's what they actually have in mind. If this were another team, maybe we're going to look at a Magnus to start fights for them, but really they have all of their chips inside of this Phantom Assassin basket. Excuse me. They really need this PA to carry a lot of weight and get farm in the early game and have a good time. Boreal's ability to go aggressive and gank towards the Phantom Assassin's lane is decent, although I don't think they're going to commit fully to an aggressive tri lane. I could be wrong, for sure, but we'll just have to see how things all progress out for them. I'm always hoping that we get to see more aggressive play coming out from the Pudge than we saw in the last game, where Jenkins isn't just reserved. Oh, thank you much. Thank you much. Okay, so we should be able to get back into this game shortly. Sorry, I'm trying to sort out things behind the scenes as well at the same time, so this draft thing is really going poorly, and for the weakness of this cast, I apologize. Doom is going to be picked up last by Boreal Esports, and I definitely can understand this pick, and I quite like it. Up against a solo core Phantom Assassin, if you Doom her, before she's able to get off her BKB in particular, she's just going to be completely focused down. Although they might be committing multiple ultimates to her, like a Doom plus Laguna Blade or Doom plus Finger of Death, it doesn't really matter. Leviathan, there's not really a great way for them to diversify at this point. They're really forced into getting this Phantom Assassin farmed. If an Aghanim Scepter at any point comes out from the Doom, that's also dealing with the Blur. If I'm not mistaken, once you have an Aghanim Scepter, it is going to take away that passive from the PA. So there is going to be quite a lot of tools that Boreal have at their disposal to bring her down, and although last game we saw the Faceless Void backtracking Lena ultimates left and right, if I'm not mistaken, we saw at least 3, if not 4, being backtracked out, which is absurd. Phantom Assassin has no such luck, is just going to have a terrible time. Blink Doom is going to be backbreaking for Leviathan. This Phantom Assassin's not going to have a fun time, and honestly, I really like Boreal's draft. Their lanes look pretty decent. I don't think there's really a way that Leviathan can shut them down unless they get a lot of kills and start snowballing early off of this Pudge roaming. Jenkins, I think, really is the player that needs to get off to a snowbally start, and although that's kind of the player that he is, and the player that he wants to be, he just wasn't able to do that in game number 1. They kind of just reserved him to pulling off in the jungle, which is fine, but this game, I don't think it really can be. Leviathan's last pick is going to be a Wraith King, which I suppose is a decent one. It gives them another option for carry potential, as well as one that is really good against one-cycle teams that rely very heavily on their ultimate cooldown. So I like this pickup from Leviathan. It's also going to give them lifesteal for the PA at the very least. So for now, we're in for another treat, although I think Boreal Esports, if everything's played perfectly, should have a pretty decent game. Or at the very least, if this Pudge doesn't get off to a snowbally start, they should be in for a really good game, and maybe closing out the series very quickly. Either way, it's always fun to watch game number 3, so I'm hoping that Leviathan get to pull it back in game number 2, and we get to see Jenkins redeem himself after that game number 1 performance. So we'll just have to see how this all works out, and once we get into the game, we will be able to introduce everybody. Alrighty then, hopefully we actually load in, and it looks like we are going to do so. Everybody inside the game again, and on the Boreal Esports side, we are going to have KVH again playing on the Lina. Looks like he's going to be heading towards mid. Foot's on the support Earthshaker, offlane Doom, handled by 470. Hey, he changed his name for me. Thanks for that. He was playing on the Clockwork last game. Slark safe lane is going to be handled by 747. He is handling that Scotty Blade, and we are going to have Loki57 playing on the line. On the dire side, Team Leviathan, Jenkins going to be taking a return performance on his Pudge. Io going to be played by Flying Zebra, supports Vengeful Spirit, handled by Nushim, Shredder on the Wraith King, leaving last but not least our Phantom Assassin by Shibby. Right now, a similar move as we saw in game number 1 with Leviathan all grouped up as a 5-man unit. GLHF comes out and potentially looking for first blood. Their control over these runes is pretty darn good. We'll have to see how these lanes work out for them, though. It looks like Jenkins is going to be playing offlane as well as roaming. For the most part, just trying to get as much experience as he can in the offlane. Safe lane farming Wraith King, mid Phantom Assassin. Yeah, it looks like a pretty solid way to go about doing this. The horses come out from 747. Pudge is going to be spotted out by the Lion, and Lion by the Pudge. He's going to drop his ward here. Very interesting ward spot. It's going to give him vision over the rune. A little bit of a sliver here for when the supports rotate, but not anything super significant, although it's expected that the ward's going to be here, so I doubt that this is actually going to be dewarded. So I suppose it does secure him the ability to get that ward out, even though he was chilling with the rest of his team over here. Since he was loading out with boots, and if they spotted that out, maybe they'll expect the ward to be down deeper on top of it all. So maybe, just maybe, he's going to force the supports to use 200 of their gold in order to deward nothing. Or maybe they're just not going to deward it at all, in which case it's just going to be a nice ward to give him some rune vision. Either way, interesting coming out from Jenkins. He is going to be able to secure himself some experience, at the very least, at these early waves. Or spike or hex into the pounce coming out from the Slark is nice and all, but the damage is pretty lackluster in this lane at the very start. Killing off the Pudge is not going to be the easiest of things. The Io, however, dropping incredibly low as Flying Zebra looks like he was trading hits with the Lina. Not something you actually want to be doing. With the Null Talisman advantage as well as 2 armor against a 0 armor hero, Io is going to be taking the lesser half of that exchange. Maybe an LSA was involved here or there. But for the most part, this Phantom Assassin in mid should be doing just fine, with 2 Tangos Pool Tour as well as Tango's stack purchased up by herself. The Doom, pretty similar story to the Pudge, although at these early levels is going to be okay. Eventually he's going to be forced out of the lane, one way or another. He does have his Devour, and for now it's just been these small creeps that he actually hasn't been able to do anything with, but once he gets level 3 or so, he's going to need a Magic Missile, but that's about it. Tanky creeps didn't really bother him all that much, and now with the Scorched Earth, turns for Nushim, gonna smack him once or twice. Yeah, again, for a bit of a passive farming state. We're going to be sitting inside this game. Shredder tanking tower, or tanking creeps under his tower. Not really much that you can read into that. Both teams really not roaming very much or looking for kills aggressively. The killing potential in all of these lanes is really dependent on these offlaners overstepping their bounds or finding themselves out in an awkward corner. And I expect it to either be 470 or Jenkins to give up the first blood in this game. As for mid, Lina starting things off really well, 8-1, even up against a dual lane. The Io currently reserved to pulling and stacking over in the sidelines. Not pulling, just getting some extra farm for them. The heroes that they have aren't the greatest at abusing those stacks. Maybe a Battle Fury coming out from the Phantom Assassin to help with that. But with some assistance from the Io and some overcharge help, they definitely can do it. Maybe Pudge is going to get some acceleration with rot farming that. Yeah, there really isn't much going on in this game. Similar to what we saw in game number 1. Right now, Leviathan are on the ropes. It is a best of 3, and they're 1 game down. They definitely want to keep themselves alive in the JDL playoffs. This is really important for next series, or season, I should say. If they're able to keep themselves in, they will be in for season number 5, which is supposedly going to be really big in the Division 1. So we'll just have to see if they're able to keep that up. 470 is trading blows with the Wraith King a little bit, but both of them sitting on pretty similar amounts of experience, slight advantage towards Shredder. They wrap around, they have the Wraithfire Blast going to let that loose into 472. They actually have the damage with 2 points up in the score. Sure, I don't really think so. Hoofstomp is going to be tempted by 470, but Shredder's just going to be forced back. Right now it's just traded blows between 2 of these carries, and 470 is completely fine for sitting in this lane. Can't really be punished for it that much. The double stun combo, though it's nice to lock him down, is I kind of talked about down and bottom with their double stun combo, or at least double lockdown combo. It doesn't have enough damage to kill him off. Pudge being naturally tanky, as is the Doom. Bottle picked up by Jenkins, and I believe the Doom as well is going to keep both of these offlanders sustained, but as a passive advantage, Boreal are picking up a little bit more farm on their Lina as well as their Slark and Doom. Really, everybody on their team is getting more than their counterparts on the enemy side, and I expect that to be reflected inside the graphs. This game around, Leviathan weren't able to secure both of the bounty runes, and it's slight advantage towards Boreal, although only ever so slightly. There's really not much you can read into it. Bottle up on Flying Zebra is going to maintain Shibby throughout this lane, but the Lina's honestly doing a lot better than I thought she would. They're going to aggress upon her, but Shibby without level 6, it's unlikely that she's going to be able to get a kill, and honestly takes a really poor damage trade. She's a Dragon Slave on the way out. If a Light Striker Ray drops while she blinked in, could be really problematic, but it's going to be Jenkins to give up first blood as he's caught out by Futsa, as well as Loki 57. Looks like Jenkins was just getting a little too over-aggressive and isn't able to find that deny. Unfortunate for him. Sentry comes out from the Radiant side to boot. Yeah, very, very unfortunate for Jenkins. Phantom Assassin in mid, dropping low. Lina looking for the kill. Can't quite find it. Laguna Blade would have made that very easy. They TP in Jenkins, and that's about it. They don't pass him the bottle or anything like that. He has one of his own, so not sure if they were actually going to abuse that. But this might be used to keep Shibby in lane, but still, Leviathan starting to lose grip of this, and Jenkins hasn't been able to really accomplish much except for give away the first blood to the 2 supports. Right now, the status quo is really nice for Boreal, and I think that's going to maintain the case. We need Leviathan to shake things up and look for kills to kind of get them out of this slump. Pudge, once he gets this level 6, I think it's pretty much mandatory that he roams out of this lane. Ooh, they're going to look for a pounce onto the Pudge, and now leash down to the ground with follow-up from the Lion. Hex, Earth Spike is going to be necessary, but they will be able to bring him down. Slark picking up yet another kill onto this Pudge for his team. And it's going to be gold into his pocket. No Midas on him just yet. Up towards top, they get the first stun on the 470, and the second stun is going to fall through. They have enough damage to at least get something. Both of these safe laners are finding themselves involved in 1 kill onto the off laners, and that's not to be unexpected. But still, his Doom is getting a little bit more than the Pudge, mostly due to the fact that he's getting Devour Gold. Outside of that, it's pretty even. TP down towards bottom by Jenkins. Both offlaners are really feeling comfortable to be in these lanes, which is not something we're used to seeing. Fishing for a hook, going to be wide off the mark. Even if that landed, I'm not sure if he actually gets that kill. Pounce away, will keep the Slark safe. He has his ultimate, yeah, not even going to be close. Yeah, there really isn't any clear objectives for either team to get before this aggression really starts picking up, and honestly I think the status quo is better for Boreal, and so they don't really have to be feeling pressured into doing anything. Level 6 on Lina means that diving her or looking for kills can be incredibly punished. And although Shredder is scary with his ultimate, and they don't have any ways to mana burn him to really deny that away from him, except for Lion's Drain, which is okay, but not the greatest at denying that. It can be clutch. We'll just have to see if that actually impacts anything in this game. Generally doesn't scale as well as the Slark and farm, but with the first stun, second stun onto 470, where is it? They do have Wraithfire Blast cooling down. They are going to be able to tag him with it. He's deep under his tower, but with the IO coming through a couple of crits, they will be able to kill him down. Although there's TP into the tower from the Lina. She has the Laguna Blade to drop into anybody if she can spot out Shredder or Flying Ziva. Dragon Slave is going to be off the mark, and it looks like Leviathan are going to be able to make it out safety and force out a rotation from the Lina. Yeah, right now it's just getting a little late, and I'm not really thinking straight, but either way, we'll just see how things progress from here on out. Phantom Assassin left in lane solo is going to be more than happy to pick up a little bit more farm here and there. Crits on a dagger on the way out. But yeah, still we have yet to see KVH be able to drop this Laguna Blade. There hasn't been an opening. Level 6 for the Doom is still a ways out, about halfway towards it, to his level 6. Once he has the Doom, that's another position for killing, but still this game is really even, as we saw the early game in game number 1 as well. Right now the advantage is slightly in favor of Boreal, but still not much. Really not much that we can talk about. The abilities for them to get out of this, the level 6 relocate for the IO, which is really far away, and level 6 for the Pudge is also where they can look to find these kills, unless they land an odd hook. Jenkins potentially going to be fishing for it, but the Slark just isn't a target that he can go for. Even with support, chain stunning down the Slark is going to be damn near impossible with the Dark Pact as well as with the Shadow Dance available. Right now, with the passive state of the game, I would have liked to see some of these heroes maybe go for Midas. Slark, definitely a viable Midas carrier. Doom, not getting enough farm for it. Shredder, maybe even on this Wraith King to make sure that he's keeping up with the enemy team, at the very least. We'll just have to see if rushing towards a Blink Dagger is going to work out well for him. Looks like we're having a little bit of server lag. It's not on my end, but it looks like it's well on both sides, so hopefully US East is going to agree with us so we can actually progress with this game. As far as the Joint Dota League Season 4 is concerned, the prize money, or rather the Position 1, has all been taken in the American division. What they're playing for right now is for their divisions in the next series of the JDL, which is supposedly going to be really huge. A joint venture between... Oh dear. They announced this forever ago, and I can't actually remember it right now because I am pretty much dead. I'm super sleepy. Either way. Yeah, they're fighting for a position in Division 1, and if they lose, they're going to be stuck in Division 2, or if they drop down lower, they'll be stuck in Division 2, so we'll just have to see how things all pan out for them. Right now, we're just chilling. Yeah. Really, there's nothing we can do about this. USD servers have been acting up as of late. Ooh. Huh. Well, that's interesting. It's not pinging the server for me. Pretty sure I didn't mistype either of those. Okay, looks like we're back. Okay, we're fine. Hopefully it's fine for the players, too. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what we do. I do not know what we do. Unfortunately, we also don't have an admin here. This is just supposed to be played between both of these teams. And honestly, they didn't... Oh. Okay. We're good to go. Either way, let's get back into this game, and hopefully we'll be able to find a train of thought that they can actually run with and talk about. Yeah, honestly, with the way that they're playing, Midas might be better for Leviathan. Only time will tell, however. Blink, if they're able to get some crucial kills with the Blink on the Wraith King, which I assume is what he's saving up for, could be amazing for them. Oh dear. Huh. Well, that's not great. Looks like we are having issues. I'm not, which is weird. Usually I'm the first one to have ping issues. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, so that wasn't a GG. That was just them expressing their disappointment in the Valve servers. Right now, it's not great. Yeah. Another thing that I'd like to see them fix is the Phantom Assassin Arcana. I quite like the level 1 Arcana look. I don't think the colors really work with the orange and red, so I don't know. I'd like to see them add the ability to change that at will. Oh well. There's really not that many interesting cosmetics to look at. I suppose we can always admire Jenkins' blinged out Pudge, Dragon Claw Hook, all sorts of fancy shizzle. Also, is this a gold one? No, it's just normal. I actually don't really see the difference between the gold one and the normal one. Are the particles any different? Because honestly, the blade looks pretty gold to me. It's more expensive, that's the difference. Man, that pole is going right through Slark. Must be uncomfortable. He's been impaled. Yeah, not sure if he can fight today. Looks like his shoulder has been completely severed. Oh well, 8 minutes, 26 in. We're currently stuck inside this game, and we have no way to actually do this, and I don't have anybody to talk to. So, that doesn't help at all. Oh dear. We're paused again. Good? Good! Hey! We have a Dota game. Hopefully it holds. I really do. Right now, I suppose we can blame any missed hooks or missed pounces to lag, and they'll be completely warranted in doing so. Right now, we have to get back in the mindset that this is actually a Dota game and not just a pause screen, which it has been for the last couple of minutes. Yeah, Wraithkin continuously farming away, putting some pressure on his tier 1 tower, and it looks like he'll be able to take it slowly but steadily. Yeah, the rotation ability from either team is pretty darn limited. 470 with the Doom available might be able to look for some kills, and the IO and the Phantom Assassin are farming up the stacks that were prepared earlier. Should be going to be really happy with the amount of gold that he's gotten out of that, going to complete up his power treads on top of his poor man's shield, Aquila, and his intermediary items. Now going towards the next stack. IO can't really help much with this one since there are mud golems involved, but still going to be giving a little bit of nice extra damage as Shibby mops up the other ones with overcharge as well as blur. Not really anything these creeps can do. Poor man's shield to boot, yeah, they actually just don't do anything. Level 6 for Lion is really when you get to see his aggression pump up to the next level, and whenever you have that Finger of Death, you want to be looking for kills. It is a very long cooldown, so you kind of want to be using it whenever it's available, just to maximize your time when you're actually doing something, and it should be on pretty important targets to boot. Blink daggers for Boreal also could be pretty impactful. 747, what's the actual button? It looks like it is going to be drums for this Slark. Alright, fair enough. If you're not going for Midas and you're not going for Blink, or not going for Shadow Blade immediately, drums is definitely a good way to shore up your stats. And Slark definitely is lacking them. Oh, dear lordy. We have more pauses. Nothing I can do. Right now, I suppose... Oh. Yep. I don't have anything to talk about. I really don't. I'm sorry, guys. This Dota game really isn't doing anything. We've been paused for ever. Oh, oh, oh. Shredder. Who's Shredder playing? I don't understand what this guy is talking about. Uh-huh. It is a nice Wraith King set, but it's nothing I haven't seen before. It's a Regalia of the Wraith Lord set. Or at least the helmet is. The 2 bits are from a different set, and then the bone sword is from yet another set. But yeah. Helmet's all that matters. That's the badass part. Do I really have to read, like, item descriptions? Like, oh my goodness. Well, looks like we are going to be graced by some copy pastorino. Maybe. Oh, the chat's not very amusing either. Man, I just want a Dota 2. I do. I really do. I want something to talk about. Wait, what comes with the new compendium? Oh, they're talking about his penis. Okay. Nice. Oh, okay. Nice. Keep it classy. Keep it classy. It really is a game of pause, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I don't have anybody to talk to. Chat's not responding. Let's see. Is there anything I can even read in chat? Oh. Yeah. I do feel kind of stupid for saying that there wasn't any great mana burning skills. I just don't see Lion that much. Yeah. Granted, mana drain is awesome against Wraith King. Tell us a joke! A joke! I'm really bad at jokes. Knock knock. Who is there? I am the worst at jokes. I'd have to, like, look them up, and then my delivery would be awful. Read lore and fanfic it on spot. Huh. Sure, let's read lore. Why not? Why not? Let's read lore. Earthshaker, Dota 2. I'll just go through every one of these heroes and read their lore, and let's see how awful it is. Or wonderful it is. Either way, I'm hoping to be amazed. I don't actually get to read the lore I don't actually read the lore very often, but let's see. Earthshaker. Like a golem or gargoyle, Earthshaker was one of the earth, but now walks freely upon it. Unlike those other entities, he created himself through an act of will, and serves no other master. Wow, that's something. In restless slumbers, encased in a deep seam of stone, he became aware of the life drifting freely above him. Whoa! Whoa! We have a game? Okay, we have a game. Okay, screw lore. We can actually can play Dota. Can we? I don't know. Right now, Jenkins is currently the one that calls the G. So, okay, so the story we learned is that they don't want me to... Okay. I can go... Oh. I can go back to lore. Okay. Very well. Oh, dear lordy. Are we good? We're good. Okay. We're good. We're good. Woo. It's so hard after pauses to actually get back into things, but with a Hex on Jenkins, they look for a kill. Pounce following through. Let's see, it is going to connect onto Jenkins with an Earth Spike as well, but the fast TPs. Swap from Venge, Hook going to miss. And for now, that was pretty much just a mana on the line, and the Slark spent for 3 TPs, if I'm not mistaken, from Leviathan. That very well might be. It looks like it was just Shredder and Lucian. Excuse me, but still, reaction forced out for very little actually committed. Even though they don't get that kill onto the Pudge, it's still very much worth it for them to do so. This is going to transition into a bottom lane push. Coming up from Leviathan as they put a lot of pressure on the tier 1 tower, potentially looking for a hook. Jenkins doesn't find an angle onto 747, as they're just going to take it. I mean, maybe turn what could have been an overreaction into an advantageous trade for them. They ping out the Slark, and Jenkins is still fishing for him. Let's see. Fish is going to find himself a little too elusive, and with the Lion here, they potentially could make a turn. This is risky. Leviathan, if they really wanted to, Boreal could contest this push. Or maybe look for something else. In the meantime, they do have Shibby farming with the help of Flying Zebra, and that's going to be completely fine for them. And the push is going to fall back for a little bit. Tower not to a deny range yet, although if they keep this catapult alive for a little bit longer, it is going to be put into that range. Hook, fishing from Jenkins, isn't going to connect on to 470. And it looks like both teams are going to be able to make their way out. Shredder's going to be hexed up, but with no further follow-up onto this Wraith King. He's going to be able to walk his way out. A lot of posturing, a lot of spells thrown either way, but nothing actually being broken out. Jenkins is currently maybe a little bit of trouble. If they actually connect from the high ground, they have an Earth Spike and a Hex. Let's see if they're going to be able to throw it out. No, they decide against it. Pinks come out from the line, and Jenkins is going to be just fine, although that could have been very sketchy. With the Earth Spike, LSA, as well as the ultimate from Lena landing, could have been the end of his life. Futsa up top, going to be aggressive upon, and looks like they'll be able to bring him down with Stifling Dagger getting the last hit. As Shibby finds himself a freebie, more or less. That is not a relocate necessary for them. They just roam up there after farming through the jungle. Drums purchased up by the Phantom Assassin as well to match the one on the Slark. In the meantime, it's going to be Jenkins down bottom. Though this time, he's not going to have the benefit of TP reactions coming out from his team. So it's going to fall 3-3, as both teams find themselves to pick off on one of the supporting cast. Although, I'll say the Pudge pickoff is a little bit more important for Boreal than the Earthshaker pickoff was for Leviathan. Shredder again down towards his bottom lane. Tier 1 tower has been taken out, and the Phantom Assassin gets the last hit from that one. Is Leviathan going to use to relocate just to straight up backdoor that one? Since it wasn't being denied. Could have been risky if Boreal had actually had people there. A Doom onto the Phantom Assassin or the IO with some backup from the Slark Lion. Pretty much would have been disastrous. They have the Finger of Death as well as the Laguna Blade, and I really want to see them just instantly burst down somebody, not because it's effective in the game, not because it's efficient, but because it's fun to see somebody get 100 to 0'd in no time flat. The tower control coming out from Boreal is starting to melt around them. The tier 1 towers are still standing on Leviathan. And honestly, the lead the Leviathan had for themselves, hook and mid, not going to land, as instead they go for the Lena up towards top. LSA is going to connect on the Phantom Assassin KBH, trying to make a runaway. Dragon Slave, Laguna Blade isn't going to be thrown out. One more auto attack was necessary and can't find it. They doom up the PA. No mana for the Laguna Blade onto Shibby. And now Shibby potentially looking for a little bit of a turn. 470. Not able to clean up this kill. Shibby's going to survive, at least for now. The doom damage might be lethal after that Fissure flying through. Looking for the Earth Spike. That's going to be the end of her life. No deny coming out from Shredder as he just can't find the angle for it. Damage too high coming out from the level 4 Earth Spike. And for now, that's going to be at a 2-for-2 trade across the map, and it's probably going to be benefiting Boreal just a little bit more as they pick up a lot of experience on both the Earthshaker and the Lion Bolt, which is wonderful for them. Shredder is actually going to be going for a relic item first. Radiance Wraith King. Definitely something that I'd like to see picked up a little bit more. Radiance on non-illusion based heroes. But I wasn't sure we are going to be seeing it this game, but my goodness, after being 1-0-2 and pretty much having uncontested farm, he's going to be able to pick that one up straight. Add less than 15 minutes in. This is ridiculous amounts of farm for the Wraith King. I really wasn't expecting that. Probably should have been throughout that entire pause, looking at the Wraith King and all of their items. But either way, Shredder is currently going to be a beast, with the ultimate coming back pretty reliably unless the mana gets drained out of him. If he's getting a little too close to the threshold by throwing out one too many Wraith Fire Blasts, he's going to be doing a lot of just passive damage to Boreal, and their heroes really don't like dealing with that burn damage much. In particular, Lion and Lena. Very squishy, and even the Slark to a certain extent. Jenkins on the high ground potentially looking for a hook angle. And can he do so? The tier 1 tower is being chipped away by the catapults. With the newly acquired Radiance, Wraith King is going to dive behind the tower and finds himself the Lena. Dual Scepter is going to disjoint that stun. Hook, however, is going to land with that damage being applied. Easy pick up on the Lena, or is it? LSA Fissure turn around. The Magic Missile is going to connect and kill off the Lena on impact. Shredder still behind the tower. Pounce up the high ground. Going to attack onto Jenkins. Very nicely done. But a swap away from Nusham is going to keep him alive for now. 747 going to pop himself a drum charge. Not able to purge off that stun. Doom onto Jenkins is going to be lethal immediately, and they don't have any further damage. Wraith King is going to be forced to use his ultimate, trying to turn for Futsa with an ultimate on to Shredder. Shaker's still going to lose his life, but now with the oh my goodness. Shadow Dance pop by 747. It's going to be end of the Wraith King's life. Buyback from the Lion. Wants to get back into this. Already used the Finger of Death. I believe it was for the Wraith King's first life. Nushin being pinged out, but can they get him? Earth Spike onto the Phantom Assassin. They've collapsed onto this PA, and there's not really anywhere for her to run. Jenkins is going to be able to get the Blink Strike away for Shibby, but in return, he's going to get hexed up. Lion's currently pursuing alone the long-range Finger of Death. Gonna crater the Phantom Assassin. Not much else you can do there. 747 still pursuing in a long-ass fight. Where is everybody actually going? Pounce is going to miss, and 747 looks for Flying Zebra, and Flying Zebra is going to be brought back down to the ground. Boreal, I think they come out on top after that engagement. It's going to be almost completed. Sanj and Yasha on the Slark after all is said and done. It costs them a buyback on their line, but it's still going to be nice for them. The net gold change for Leviathan is 1 gold, and that 1 gold is going to be put into the pocket of the Wraith King or Phantom Assassin. Take your pick. But either way, it's going to be Boreal coming out ahead. Even though Shredder has a truckload of gold, Radiance on Wraith King, honestly, I think it's a nice item to have, but I think there would have been more optimal ways to build him. That first fight after the Radiance really didn't go as well as Leviathan really would have wanted to. Diving deep and not actually able to accomplish anything with it. That Lion Finger kill onto the Phantom Assassin really tipping the scales in Boreal's side. Jenkins still has yet to really do much else. Okay. Just making sure everything's good on stream. Either way, Loki maybe in a bit of a compromising position if he gets hooked. Hook is going to connect, and now with the Dismember, not coming out immediately. He's going to get tuned up, and now Jenkins in a heap of trouble. He might be able to kill off Loki beforehand, but now Jenkins, he can't turn that rod off, and he's going to die one way or another. The Deny comes out. His Pudge gets that suicide tick with a double damage on 470. That probably shouldn't happen. TPN immediately with the relocate. Blink Strike down to the low ground. Phantom Assassin alive for now. Yule's Scepter is going to throw up in the air. His Flying Zebra does have the tether out, but the Laguna Blade is going to crater that poor Phantom Assassin. Now Flying Zebra drops before he's teleported back to wherever he came from. Ultimate from 747 is going to keep him alive, stopping Shredder from dropping that stun, and now he's going to be bursted down as KBH draws a double kill. Nushim, the only survivor, stun under tower is going to keep him safe, but it's still a 4-for-1 trade, and the only one they lose is the Lion off of that relocate, more or less. Relocate into a lost fight, which really isn't something you get to see much. Hook from Jenkins going to be off the mark. Now potentially a bit of trouble. Right now, Jenkins, if he catches a hook onto 470 or onto the Slark, could be a pretty easy kill there, or even on the Futsa, although that one's a little bit more questionable. Fissure going to land into Jenkins as he's able to find nothing. The tier 1 tower has fallen. Now with the Yule Scepter into the LSA, going to connect onto the Pudge, but no further follow-up, just going to be some casual harass onto the Pudge. He's going to regen that up either through Bottle or Tranquil Boots very shortly. Yeah, Jenkins going to go back into the jungle for a little bit to pick up some of the slack, but still Leviathan are starting to lose control quite a bit after those last two fights. They had a nice advantage in gold, and the Wraith King's now falling behind the Slark. Completed up SNY as well as the drum. Slark running around incredibly fast, even though he knows that they have vision of him. The ward right here is going to be spotted out by that passive of his ultimate, and they should be able to de-ward that one very effectively. They do have a smoke under the line as well as the Earthshaker, however, and potentially looking for a turn. Slark has brought in some buddies, and if they're able to find a jump onto this PA, PA is going to be absolutely demolished. Even with some decent stat items in the drums, Aquila, and power treads, the damage combination between Slark, Earthshaker, and Lion at this point is absurd. Pudge dropping low is going to be able to make his way all the way back to base. Never relocate in as well to keep in mind, so it isn't the cleanest of ways for them to initiate, or it's not the safest of ways for them to start a fight, I should say, but it's still pretty decent. Laguna Blade as well as Finger of Death up. Boreal should be looking for kills, and they can take them very easily. Single targets are going to be dropping like flies, should they choose to do so. Doom one, zap another one, and then zap a third. The fights aren't going to be lasting long if Boreal have their way, and we've kind of been seeing that. Right now, the Radiance on Shredder isn't working very well for them because they aren't able to draw out the duration of the fights. Wraith King, especially when his ultimate is on cooldown, which it is for a vast majority of this game, or a vast majority of the early game whenever it's dropped, isn't really able to get much usage out of that. The farming speed is nice, but not nice enough. Roshan being taken out by Leviathan, they'll be able to snag this Aegis away. With the medallion picked up by the Vengeful Spirit as well as the Wave of Terror, they'll be able to snag that one up for Shibby with just the Helm of the Dominator lifesteal. Some backup from the IO to boot. TP up towards top. It is going to be the Wraith King. Not the ideal target for Boreal to go on. He does have the reincarnation back up. Level 14 on Shredder. He's getting close to his level 16, which is super important for these two carries in particular to get the 60-second cooldown on the Wraith King's reincarnation as well as that increased crit damage for the PA. Game kind of stalling out for a little bit. We can take a look at the net worth and the experience graphs, and honestly, they haven't changed very much at all this game. A little bit of that is due to the pauses whenever you see a flatlining, but still 3,000 advantage in experience and hardly an advantage in the gold towards either side throughout this entire game. Leviathan, if they're able to drag this one out late, even though the power of Laguna Blade and Finger of Death is incredibly strong now, once BKBs come out for their cores, which they very well should, onto the Wraith King as well as the PA, it becomes a lot less scary for them. And a Lincoln Sphere here or there on any of their heroes could block a Doom, could be very clutch. They can take fights very effectively throughout the duration of the game, as long as Boreal aren't capitalizing on these ultimates that they've kind of picked themselves around. The Doom has been off of cooldown for quite a long duration, as has the Lion Finger of Death and the Laguna Blade. And they haven't been focused into any targets, which is problematic for them. Leviathan have stalled out and are able to take a tier 1 tower off of it. Blink Dagger now up on the Lina is a nice opening for them to find those kills with the Blink into Yule Scepter LSA combination. But still, Leviathan are probably finding a little bit more than Boreal want them to. It's actually going to be a Maelstrom on 747. It's a decent item for farming, and a nice damage item as well, but not something we get to see very often. I, for one, really like Maelstrom, just as a general item, and that extra attack speed works wonders for Slark. 747 going to spot eyes onto Shibby as well as Flying Zebra, and, well, that's going to be about all she wrote. Neither team is going to make a jump, and also because Phantom Assassin doesn't actually see the Slark, and Slark can't go there comfortably, with the Aegis especially. The rest of the members of Leviathan are up towards top. They can bring in the Phantom Assassin and the Io at the drop of a hat, and they'll push into this tier 2 tower. Medallion's going to be used to fortify this creep and keep the push going for a little bit longer. Hardly does any effective damage to the tower with the range creep ticking away at it, but it's still a good usage of the Medallion. You're not really going to be using it any other way. They ping out Shibby down towards bottom. The Lina looking for a Blink Yule Scepter LSA initiation onto her with the Slark there. Definitely can find this kill, but they should know that Flying Zebra is behind the PA. And with that IO there, finding that kill is almost impossible, and they're also pretty much giving away this tier 2 tower for free, as they can't do anything else. Cool. They are going to get Hex onto Shredder, as well as an Earth Spike Fissure from long range, but Shredder's completely fine with this. He's going to be able to just tank up the creep wave, Radiance burn it down, and then Lifesteal back up a decent chunk of that damage as they take the tier 2 tower. Aegis is going to be reclaimed pretty shortly by the PA, but this Aegis is being used to push down towers, which is completely acceptable for them. It seems that, again, the threat of an Aegis is almost more powerful than them actually fighting with it. It's going to force Boreal from actually doing anything. Assault Cuirass looks to be the next choice for Shredder, or at the very least an item with the Hyperstone. A Mjolnir wouldn't surprise me that much for the Wraith King, especially with the build that he's going for. A lot of magic damage coming out from him. Either way, tier 2 tower in mid is going to be the next mark for Leviathan. Tier 1 tower, or tier 2 tower up top was easy enough, and why not rotate and go for that again? Jenkins, if he finds a hook and finds an opening to look for this kill, or look for a kill, could be huge for them, but Boreal, they're just straight up not fighting. They're going to concede pretty much all of the map control that they need to make sure that they don't have to fight the Shibby in his double life. BKB now picked up by the Phantom Assassin and a double damage rune as well. Means that they really can't do anything about it. They've kind of missed a window, a major window for them too. The only Dooms we've seen have really not done very much. The one onto the Pudge ends up into a deny, and really haven't seen the Doom do much. The ultimates coming out from Lina and Lion, although they've gotten kills here and there, they've missed an opportunity where those ultimates are absolutely imbalanced, where you can 100 to 0 an entire hero just by dropping those 2 cooldowns onto them, and they just haven't used them. Even support kills at this point, or support kills a couple minutes ago, would have been better than just playing it passively. Bottom tower is being pushed down, and so it will force Shredder back. If they bring the IO over towards him, they can have him there in spirit with the threat of a relocate in, but they've gotten enough out of this Aegis to really make it worthwhile. It is going to be reclaimed fairly shortly, in fact in just a couple of seconds before that's back into the hands of Roshan. But Leviathan are going to be happy with it all. They've found themselves a lot of objectives and are sitting on a 10-second BKB. With that BKB, Boreal, if they don't get the Doom onto the PA first, there's really not much that they can do about this Phantom Assassin at all. Aghanim Scepter on the Doom is nice and all, but they really need a Blink or some way to get up into her face. I think Blink in the Doom is pretty much a necessity. Blink Yules from the Lina is going to be really easy to avoid by just popping that BKB on impact. The initiation power coming out from Boreal is pretty much all tied up in that Lina as well. The Slark going for a Shadow Blade and Blinkless build relies on other heroes to open up for him, or at least ideally. And we haven't really seen KVH utilize that Blink and Yule Scepter combination. Jenkins, hook! He's going to connect onto it. Yule Scepter is going to delay this for a little bit, trying to catch her out. LSA is going to cancel it, and the ultimate turns onto the Pudge. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, now doomed up. Shibby has a BKB on, so they can't do enough damage to her immediately to get this kill, but it still might be enough. Without an Aegis onto Shibby, Shibby in a whole lot of trouble. The Doom Aghanimed up is going to be making it impossible for her to survive, and there won't be a deny. Double kill, 470 as he picks up the IO on the backlines to top it all off. Shredder is also going to get his stun disjointed by the Slark as he makes his way out to safety. Very unfortunate for Leviathan. That last couple of engagements, or rather that last engagement, Pudge not able to get off that dismember, stunned up by the LSA. Thought he found a really easy pick off onto the Lina, but that was really the opening that Boreal needed. Where was this aggression forever ago? I mean, really what it took is for the Lina to get hooked in for them to actually want to take a fight. Late game Slark and Doom is nice and all, but is that really what you want to be relying on? Blink on line should be the next step for them to look for kills actively. We'll just have to see. This Phantom Assassin, even with the BKB, is not doing that much damage unless she gets the crits. And even when she does, they're only moderate amounts. Really would like to have a Bash or Abyssal Blade in the near future at the very least, if not her next item. Jenkins is going to be dismembering up a creep. No Aghanim Scepter onto him. Usually don't see that very often, but still very short cooldown. Doesn't really impact much at all. There's your blink on the Doom that I was talking about earlier, and this is really crucial for them. I think Boreal, they've taken quite a while to get these tools up and running for their team to find these initiations, but now that they have them, I don't think there's any reason to not look for fights. Even though Leviathan aren't going to have the global presence coming out from the IO, he just drops so quickly. Instant Hex onto Shredder, follow up with the Fissure, or with Spike onto him. The damage coming out from the Slark is going to be enough. They don't get the Enchant Totem stun, but that's going to be the Wraith King's ultimate on cooldown for now and isolated away from the rest of the team. He's going to be killed very quickly. Lacuna Blade from long range is going to do him in, and that's going to be a very much needed pickoff for Boreal. That Wraith King getting a little too comfortable for his own good up in the top lane. Now it's going to be Boreal starting to push it down. With the tier 1 tower still standing, it's going to be easy pickings for them and a little bit more gold in their pockets. And they will proceed to do so. Leviathan aren't getting anything on the other sides of the map in the meantime. Roshan's going to be spawning up in a minute, but they don't have the ability to do that. Fighting up against the entire Boreal team without their Wraith King is probably not the greatest of ideas. Futsa, without a lot of mana, does have a Soul Ring, however, as well as a couple of wand charges to keep himself up. Should be able to get off his ultimate without much worry. Pudge is being pinged out, or yeah, I think that was by KVH. So they are just going to take this tier 2 tower. Leviathan, not interested in defending, and it looks like they're just comfortable in the fact. Not really comfortable, but they've accepted the fact that they really can't do anything about it. So it's going to be a tier 2 tower going the way of Boreal. A really topsy-turvy, really close game, and 747 again, just farming like a madman. Going to have the completed Scotty up. A lot of stats onto this Slark, and incredibly tanky at that. The damage coming out from Leviathan just isn't enough at this point. Radiance Burn coming out from the Wraith King is okay, but unless he gets crits, really isn't doing that much right click, and a similar story can be said for the Phantom Assassin. Crits are everything, and well, if damage was a problem for Boreal, which it wasn't before, now it really isn't. Pure damage Laguna Blade that's almost level 16, and will be after just a couple more creeps. Level 16, 950 magic damage you can pump through BKB is more than half of Shibi's health, and that's really good for them. They don't really have to worry that much about the Phantom Assassin anymore, or at the very least, don't have to worry about being able to kill her. Even without MKB on the Slark, they have the Aghanim Doom, which will be enough to really take her out of the fight indefinitely. Roshan is going to be taken out by Leviathan. They can do this with just Shibi as well as Flying Zebra, although it's not the fastest. Boreal aren't poised to contest it immediately, and it looks like they're not going to do so. It's going to be an Aegis going the way of the Phantom Assassin. Boreal instead going to set their sights on the mid lane. 747 putting a lot of damage in this tier 2 tower. Oh, Blink on the sidelines. They found the hook onto Futsa. They should be able to bring him down before he gets off the Echo Slam, or no. With the Doom on the low ground onto Jenkins, stunning up the Pudge. Echo Slam going to obliterate poor Jenkins. Stuns onto Shredder. Shredder going to lose his Aegis, or rather his first life burst. Oh, Finger of Death into the BKB of Shibi. Crits galore onto KVH as well. Shibi is still doing quite a lot of work. Laguna Blade into the Wisp is going to be thrown out before Lina falls. The 747 pursues, but the relocate away is going to keep herself safe. 470 is going to drop, and now Slark needs to get out of there. Pounce the low ground, but a long swap is going to be able to get him close to the Phantom Assassin, but now with the ultimate, Slark should be able to make himself scarce. He has another pounce, and this time he doesn't have to worry about swaps. It's going to be 2 for 4 trade, vastly in the favor of Leviathan's Boreal. Find themselves in a really spread out, awkward engagement. It really just takes one team to pull the trigger, and most often it is Jenkins to pull that trigger with the hooks. Whether for better or for worse, this time it was for the better of his team. Eats quite a lot of their spells in order to drop him down. Instant Doom, as well as Echo Slam committed, which allows Phantom Assassin to go through the fight more or less unchecked. The Lion Finger of Death being eaten up by the BKB also really crucial there, since they just didn't have the physical damage to bring her down. And the Lina drops the Laguna Blade is a panic effort because of the crits coming out from the PA. I questioned the damage of the Phantom Assassin earlier, and I suppose I've been proven wrong. If Shibi's able to get the crits when it happens, it's completely fine. They turn into 747. Killing off the Slark is a different story. As his ultimate cooling down, should be completely fine. Swap onto the PA. Yeah, I'm going to call that a misclick. 747 should be able to make it out just fine. He's bringing in a Pudge on the sidelines. Leviathan still shouldn't be able to kill him off. He has that panic button with it is Shadow Dance, and he's going to be just fine. Yeah, that's going to be it. Smoke on the Pudge, however. Potentially able to pick off one of the supports if they're isolated away from the rest of the team, but honestly, Jenkins really hasn't been able to accomplish much. Inside the draft, I was talking about how he was kind of the X Factor. Really, the X Factor hasn't been doing a terrible amount of work. Mostly, it's been the Wraith King as well as the PA. TP down towards bottom as Wraith King is forced back to farm this one up. It is going to be completed BKB, however, on to Shredder. And as we've already seen, BKB is really nice to have up against Boreal's team, even though they have that secret anti-BKB tech in the Aghanim Scepter on the Lina. It didn't do enough in that last fight. Boreal just really need to focus down this PA and the Wraith King. Those are the important heroes. Pudge eating the Echo Slam and the Doom is probably the best thing he can do for his team, to be honest. Grouping back up again, still with the Aegis on the Phantom Assassin and a freshly picked up Basher. Leviathan can very easily look for the tier 2 tower down in the bottom lane. I can't say very easily, they still can be punished for it, but I think that's probably the best move for them. Just look for any amount of map control that they can find, and that's probably the safest way to go about it. They're probably not strong enough to go high ground, especially if you have the blinking Echo Slam coming out from Futsa involved, and if they get caught out by the Doom on the PA without the Aegis, or under the Wraith King when his ultimate's already been popped, things could be disastrous. After a couple of deaths, we have had shuffles around with the cosmetics, so Wraith King's hat and Phantom Assassin's kit is a little bit different, but yeah, it doesn't actually matter at all. Still, we are going to see top lane be pushed in by 747. No one close by Leviathan, although we have a relocating in Phantom Assassin and Io should they need to. Killing off the Slark is very difficult for them. He's going to use his Purge, but a Pounce would destroy the Wraith Fire Blast anyway, and they'd rely very heavily on getting the luckiest of all bashes and crits to actually kill him off. Now it's Boreal's turn to potentially look for posturing, but no, the lane's just going TP down towards bottom as she goes to farm this one up with an LSA and maybe a Dragon Slave. Doesn't even need it, just going to right-click it down like a little machine gun with that maxed out Dragon Slave. Does do quite a bit of damage in her own right, although not against the Phantom Assassin for sure. It's been quite a while since we've seen action outside of isolated kills here and there. The major fights have pretty much all been taken care of, and neither team's really taken a huge advantage. Boreal getting 747 huge. They are going to be working towards his next item, which probably should just be an MKB. Even though Basher is nice and all, I think he has the target sticking on power pretty much covered. Between the S and Y, the Scotty slow drums to get him a little bit further in, Pounce to lock them down. Although Abyssal's wonderful, I think it's more important to be able to consistently hit the PA, even if you don't get a Doom off. Very well. So we are going to just wait for this next wave of items to come out. Looks like Phantom Assassin going to complete up the Abyssal Blade. After this creep, that is going to be a full Abyssal for Shibi. And if damage was ever a concern, which probably wasn't, to be honest, even though I said it was, I was proven wrong almost instantly. It definitely isn't now. Aegis is going to be reclaimed, giving Phantom Assassin a full heal, but not much else other than that. They're not able to get the tier 2 tower down and bottom off of that Aegis, and for now they've stalled out, but Abyssal onto 747, he didn't see that coming as the damage there. He's able to get off his ultimate TP out, and that's going to be fine. Nothing else that they can do. Abyssal showing off, and I'm sure it scared the tar out of the Slark, but 747 had at least the state of mind to press R and TP. So that's going to be just fine, unless they completely chain bash him, which can happen, but you'll just be really mad when it does, because it probably shouldn't. Oh, KVH. Blink away instantly towards the north is going to keep him safe, although he could have been a bit of a pickle. Is going to survive. TP away. KVH isn't going to be hooked out by Jenkins. That would have been a really baller blind hook, and you probably wouldn't expect it, to be honest, so we'll just have to see. Phantom Assassin Blades galore in this vicinity, as we have 3. Yeah, ouch. Not exactly sure when all of those were dropped down, but still quite a cluster of them. Not sure if I like this feature of the Phantom Assassin Arcana, but it's cute, I suppose. I don't know. Refresher Orb on the Doom, however, is a huge pickup for Boreal. His ability to actually use this Refresher is pretty limited. His mana pool is pretty much just there to get off the double doom. He'll have a little bit more maybe for a Scorched Earth level death here or there, but for the most part, his job is to doom PA, or doom the Wraith King, or both. If they don't have the Aegis on the Phantom Assassin, doom her 9 times out of 10 and save your other doom for the Wraith King once he comes back from his second life. And this is going to make it a lot easier for them to take those engagements. Now with the double doom that hasn't been spotted out by the enemy team, maybe it has been, since he just showed himself to the creep wave. They can look to take engagements, and they're going to push down the tier 2, currently fighting on even footing when it comes to the raw numbers. Even though the buybacks, they have a slight advantage, although negligible. They're going to be able to barrel down the middle lane. Mjolnir picked up by the Slark. I'm not sure if I discussed it earlier. It's going to be a nice boost for his damage, although I would have liked to see him just go straight towards the MKB. Tier 2 tower is going to fall in mid, and Tier 2 tower going to fall in bottom. Just going to be a straight up trade. 1 for 1 Tier 2. All Tier 2 towers in this game have fallen as Boreal ping out the mid. Whether they actually commit for more is another story, but let's see how this engagement goes down. If Phantom Assassin dies with the Doom, buybacks are almost certainly going to be necessary. At the very least, they force an enemy reaction 4 staff in. 747 going to be able to purge off this slow. Will he be able to do it fast enough? This member also going to be purged, as 747 is going to be fine. Shredder hooked back into his tower. Blink strike forward. Abyssal onto 470. Get off the Doom. Echo slam from Futsa going to land on the 3. Shredder drop down. That's his ultimate being popped. Shibby doomed up, but honestly doesn't care that much as long as the Doom's away. But now with the Finger of Death, Shibby's going to be dropped low and should be dropping here. Will be killed off by the line. Now Nusham dropping low to boot. Swap in. Nusham is going to drop a magic missile, saving her carry, but costing her her own life. The Vengeful Spirit going to be paying the piper for the aggression coming out from Leviathan. Honestly, that jump from the Phantom Assassin was ill-fated. All Boreal lose is the Earthshaker and the Doom. They have another Doom in reserve with that refresher, but for the most part, they've already dropped their kit, and it's Pudge and Wraith King against the World, and that's not enough when the World is 747 on this Slark. They'll be able to munch away at this tower and take it pretty darn quickly, although not fast, or as fast as I would have thought. It's still going to be serviceable. Yule Scepter onto the Pudge. LSA into the Earth Spike. Pounce down to the low ground. Jenkins is going to be cratered. The Laguna Blade didn't actually do any damage. It came a little bit after. Purge off of that magic missile. Force staff of the high ground. However, is going to keep Nusham safe. Boreal need to be careful about pursuing for more. Their lean is a little too low to be comfortable, and for now they might want to just be happy with their spoils. Forcing a buyback from the Vengeful Spirit and just all around getting a nice trade. Well, all said and done, Boreal in a nice position for this game. The Wraith King, although he has a lot of net worth, Blink, BKB, Radiance, it's nice. He really needs that next item, which should be a Basher for him. But still, I think the Slark just kind of outclasses him. The double life coming out from the Wraith King, although it's useful, isn't useful enough when he's alone, especially. Once the Phantom Assassin gets killed, Shredder can't really do much. And speaking of bashers, we have one on 7047 as well. That's going to be completed. He also has money for buyback. This Slark is getting dangerously close to 6-slotted territory. And, I mean, if you can include drums as a 6-slotted item, he's there. And pretty much just missing the Abyssal Blade. He'll probably decide to replace it with something in the future. Potentially an MKB. Wouldn't be a bad choice. But for the most part, 747 is an absolute juggernaut and can't really be stopped by anything. Double Doom is up again for Boreal, and that was enough to force high ground in the middle lane, and maybe they can look for it again, smoking up. If they find the Phantom Assassin with the IO, it could all be over for them. They'll poke their head into Roshan, but unfortunately for them, it's a near max Roshan timer. Not entirely maxed out, but very close to it. So they aren't going to spot out the big man, potentially looking for a jump down in the bottom lane, wrap around by the Slark. They are going to blink forward. They find themselves a jump onto Loki 57. The Lion's going to lose his life first. Doom onto Jenkins, pretty much going to remove him from this fight as Nusham's assassinated on the sidelines. Bashes on their Shredder. 747 not doing enough damage. The Laguna Blade onto Flying Zebra. They're trying to crit down 470, and they will be able to do so. He wasn't able to get off the second Doom. The Stifling Dagger is going to be disjointed as Slark looks to reinitiate. Can't find a target to stick on. He is going to bump into Shredder and is going to go for it. 747 does a decent amount of those Essence Shift stacks and is going to go very hard onto him. If they get bashes on this Slark, could all be over. LSA going to be dropped onto Shredder, but they don't have the damage further. KVH in a pickle is going to be dropped down even without crits coming out from Shibby. It is going to be enough to give her a killing spree, and now the 4-2 is going to be traded now in the favor of Leviathan. Both teams going blow for blow. Really seems that whoever finds the jump is the team to really take the fall inside these engagements. the counter initiation potential from both sides is pretty darn powerful, and now it's going to be Roshan going the way of Leviathan. Even though Boreal won a pretty darn good fight earlier on, it wasn't enough to get them any objectives, so it's going to be Leviathan to take Roche, and now look for 2 lives on Chibi as well as on to their Wraith King. So they are going to be working with a lot of power, especially if they catch out 747. Bash down, he's going to be able to get his ultimate and pounce down to the low ground. 747 should be just fine, has a double damage rune to boot. That lucky little monkey is going to be able to make it out. That could have been disastrous. If they kill the Slark there, that's at the very least forcing out the buyback, which is damning enough. But it's also going to stymie his growth and allow them to push very comfortably. Yeah, it would have been huge. Either way. It is going to be now a Reaver flying out to Chibi. It should be the completed Satanic sooner rather than later. And maybe even forsaking buyback for it, since she does have the Aegis. Or rather, the Phantom Assassin has the Aegis. Chibi is going to be just fine. Grouped up with the rest of the team, Leviathan now going to be the ones to make the move. And if the past is any indicator, we are going to see a favorable trade for Boreal, but we'll have to see if the Doom's actually able to get off the double Doom. For now, this Refresher has been pretty much a dead item in his inventory, as he's died too quickly before he's able to get off the second. I could be completely wrong, and maybe I'm just not paying attention enough, but I really haven't seen the second one do much at all. Lincoln Sphere going to be picked up by Pudge, not for himself, but for his allies. I was talking about this a little bit earlier on. Up against Doom, Lincoln Sphere, one of the best items, especially if you're able to get really clutch placements of the Lincolns while he's dropping Doom. It does have quite a projected animation, and you can spot it out before he, or after he does the level death, because up against a Lincoln Sphere that you know is on a target, you want a level death and then Doom. It's pretty straightforward, but if you're able to get the Lincolns on them after the level death, and before the Doom, it can be absolutely huge. Either way, Leviathan grouped up hitting mid. This Phantom Assassin is really going to be hard to deal with. They need to kill her inside the duration of a Doom, and need to keep the Doom alive to refresh that Aghanim Scepter Doom. Earth Spike is going to push out the creep wave a little bit, doing marginal amounts of damage and blinking away to safety. For now, it's a really tense situation, in particular for Boreal. TP up towards top is going to mean a blink away by the Lina. Relocate in as well. Phantom Assassin wants blood. And KVH, is he alive? Abyssal! It's going to cancel that TP. Now KVH is going to be dropped down very low. Crit is going to fly through. Yule Scepter's going to delay the inevitable. She kills off the IO beforehand, and with the BKB on Shivy as well. Honestly, I think that's okay, because it's going to stop the push in mid. And now Slark down in bottom, going to be Abyssal up. 747 just not taking enough damage. You know, Shredder probably can't take this fight. Pounce away. Hook coming out from Jenkins isn't going to connect on the Slark, and the slippery little fish is going to be able to slip slide his way out into a couple of neutral camps where he's able to pick up some farm. For now, the aggression from both sides has pretty much been stopped, losing one of their supporting cast. I mean, technically, Lina is not a support hero, but for the most part, that's kind of what she's offering. More or less the same as what the line is. Some nice initiation. She does right-click a whole heck of a lot harder than the Lina with, or than the Lion with the Lina passive, but it's still fairly even, I'd say, because they don't get the PA back towards mid. Either way, they're going to go down towards bottom. Shouldn't be forcing out the Lina buyback. 30 seconds should be enough where Boreal are able to stall out, but if they find an opening for an Echo Slam or a Blink Doom, buyback and Lina is available if they really want to go for it, so it's always something to keep in mind. Relocates there by the Aya, so maybe going to be able to bail somebody out. For the most part, I don't think either team is going to be able to put major pressure on the enemy's side of the map without risking a major engagement. Shadowblade on the Doom, however. This is interesting. 470. Going to be able to Shadowblade in here, and this could just straight up win them the fight if he's able to find it. No jam on the enemy team means that he can Doom whoever he wants. Doom immediately, and it should be they did not expect Shadowblade Doom blinking onto the sidelines. They try to focus down 747, but with an Icer Spike onto 2, Shibby's going to lose his life, as is the Pudge. Now Shibby dropping low, Refresher onto the Doom. Doesn't find a target to go on. His boots is cleaved down by Shredder. That's your Aegis down in the PA, saving the second Doom for the PA herself. Shadowblade pop by 470. He does have it, looking for Shibby. Shibby's going to be able to get doomed up, and without being able to pop off that BKB, Abyssal down, or rather Bash, they're going to be able to kill her off, and now Yule Scepter onto the Vengeful Spirit. Nusham going to be dropped in a heartbeat. 4 for 1, and a huge fight for Boreal because of this item right here. I'm usually not one to like Shadowblade as an item, but especially in late game scenarios, but This one was huge for Boreal because Leviathan didn't expect it. It was late game Shadowblade, he straight up bought it and then finds a perfect initiation. Phantom Assassin did not expect that. And he also just knew exactly what he had to do, waited for the second life of the PA to get that second Doom off. Double Doomed PA is a really sad PA. The damage coming out from Boreal is immense. At the very least, they should be able to force out some buybacks here. Or even just straight up take racks. Buyback from the Wraith King, not going to stop them from going for the melee barracks, although the Glyph's going to delay. For now, Boreal are still going to be comfortable. Hook, fishing from the Jenkins, is going to miss. Earn hardly tickles, 470, and that's going to be melee barracks down. BKB popped by Shredder as he wants to find a Wraithfire Blast, but Shadowblade's going to keep 470 safe. Buyback from the Phantom Assassin and the Venge. They want to find a fight. 470 is going to be spotted out to get a hook onto 747, but he's bursting down Jenkins. Jenkins hooked in a fish that he could not snag. They will be able to find the line on the sidelines. His collateral damage going to be critted down very easily. Should have bought more armor, I agree with that, but still vastly in the favor of Boreal. They forced out not one, not two, yeah, it's ridiculous. That's 3 buybacks on Leviathan is what I'm trying to say, which is huge. Right now, Leviathan really need to get something off of this, but they're losing their barracks up towards top to creeps. They need to do something about this too. Right now, it feels like they're going for a Hail Mary move where they just want to end this game immediately, and maybe they'll be able to do so, but that's unlikely. Right now, Doom, he doesn't have his double Doom, but he has a single Doom, and without an Aegis on the Shibby, that could be all that he needs. Shadowblade up. Phantom Assassin cannot be standing here as we saw last game. Level death on the Shredder. Now, Shibby potentially in a little bit of trouble. They are going to purge off a handful of debuffs. For now, it's 4v4, and that's about where it's going to stay. But the creeps, they're doing their work. That's the barracks up towards top that Leviathan have freely given away to the Radiant team, and now they need to fully retreat. At this point, it's too late. They bring back the Pudge, but Leviathan just passively threw away a huge chance for them and lose their IO to boot as he's dropped down by Earthshaker and company. 747 is going to be trapped inside the creeps. Inside the, oh dear, trees, not the creeps. It is really getting late. But either way, Boreal finding themselves a big opening, and really this feels like they might have broken Leviathan's back. Even though in theory Leviathan have a really strong late game. Not when you're 2 barracks down. And not when Slark is this stacked compared to your carries. They just don't have the items to combat up against 747. Although I do like Radiance on Wraith King, I don't think this was the game for it, and it really hasn't done much, I don't feel. That 3,800 gold or from the Relic could have been put into an earlier Abyssal Blade, could have been put into a Midas to get bigger ticket items. Honestly, any standard quote-unquote Wraith King item, I think probably would have served him better. Heck, even a Shadow Blade for himself. Either way, that's water under the bridge right now. Leviathan's task is to win this game and win it without anything else. Scythe onto Jenkins. He is going to be able to survive. That Laguna Blade dropping him low, but not low enough. Lena probably was just eyeballing it, or at the very least putting the fear of God into the Pudge. But yeah, that range was pretty redonkulous. Either way, Pudge going to survive by the skin of his fat little butt, and that's going to be about it. Fat little butt? I don't think that really works. Either way, that's your Lincolns picked up by the Pudge, and I think this is probably the most important item on Leviathan. If they're able to protect the PA from a Doom, that could be it, but we also have the double Doom with no Aegis, so no, we'll see. Right now, Leviathan just need to be so scared. They have no detection on their team, no gem picked up by anybody, no sentries on the ground immediately. Shadowblade into the Doom could spell their demise if Shibby's positioning isn't perfect. And really needs to rely on this IO and Vengeful Spirit to bail her out. If the Phantom Assassin dies, that might as well be game. Because it will be a dieback. Right now, they're dealing with 2 lanes of Mega Creeps, and they're completely bottled up inside their base. This is about as far as they can go out. Where Shredder is farming now, they can't cross this line. If they cross this line, they're completely hosed, and even inside their base, excuse me, they're not safe. With 747 blinking in, or just pouncing in and looking for a jump, he doesn't need to find any heroes because there's a tower there. It's going to be dropped for free. There's actually nothing that they can do about this. Hook, fishing. He found the fish, but is that the fish he wanted? Ultimate pop by 747 going aggressively into Jenkins. Jenkins dropped low, but with the Laguna Blade, they're going to be able to crater him. 747 dropping and does not have the defensive capabilities, but a buyback is going to save his life for now. 470 is going to be saved by a nice Okosem coming out from Flutes. A Ghost Scepter is going to also buy into distance, and with the Finger of Death, that's going to the end of the Venge's life. Relocate onto the backlines coming out from the PA as well. well as a wisp. Focus down Shredder. 747 with his buyback really doesn't want to fall, but honestly, I don't think it matters much as Wraith King's first life down as Shibby is being stunned out by the Lion on the sidelines, getting bashed by 747. Another Earthshaker stun, trying to blink strike towards allies. He is going to be able to make it over towards creeps. A Hero Tomb going off on the sidelines. I think that's on the Wraith King for his second life as Shibby's being brought down by 747. Blink striking, trying to kill off Putsa. He does not have the Satanic cooldown. The damage coming out from 747 is enough with some help from the Lina. Now with the bounce forward on the Flying Deceiver, that's Phantom Assassin down for 104 seconds, and the Wraith King also going to fall to Doom as he's been chased to hell and back by the Doom, and that's going to be a 2-0 victory for Boreal. Very well played by them. In the end, all it takes is just 1 or 2 fights to swing the game, as we've kind of seen in both of these games. Both of these teams, I think, have the capability to take games off of each other, but it's going to be Boreal the victors today and progressing inside the playoffs of the JDL Season 4 America Division 1/2. Thanks for watching. I've been GrandisV, and if you enjoyed the casting, even though I'm sick, tired, and just in a general bad state, you can follow me on at GrandisV on Twitch, Twitter, and what have you. And if you like the casting label as a whole, HeflaTV can be followed at Twitter, Facebook, and on Twitch here at HeflaTV. And if you want to watch these games again, which were pretty enjoyable, at least for me, you can find those at youtube.com/HeflaMoke, and they'll be uploaded in about an hour or so. So that about rounds it up. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon. GrandisV signing out.